The voice of influence. Problem. Others can feel anxious when we don't seem to hear their important needs. Challenge. Learn to help others feel not just heard, but understood. Skill. Become fully present to build trust and increase your influence.
Through the Power of Voice series, we've been encouraging you to develop your professional voice. As you practice and continue to develop your professional voice, you may notice people responding to you in more positive ways. People want to collaborate with you, to help you when you need help, even to follow you when it's your responsibility to help them find the way. Now you're ready to take everything you've learned so far and add an additional element to your professional voice that will help you accomplish your goals when you're working with people. The voice of influence. If you could define the word professional with one word, what would your word be? Well, how do you know someone is a professional? It's not about what kind of job or position they have. It's how they perform the task and build the relationships of that job. There are professional doctors and teachers. There are also professional mechanics and customer service people. It's the people who experience the results of their work who determine whether or not they're professionals. How do you feel when you're a customer being helped by a true professional? Let's see if the word you chose to define professional is the same as mine. Trust. When someone is a true professional, you can put yourself in their hands. They often have a quiet confidence that gives you confidence in what will happen. You relax, knowing they've got the situation covered. In short, you trust. People who inspire trust gain influence. They're who you go to when you want the real answer. They're the ones who know what it takes to get the result you want. They immediately put people at ease, even if what they need to say isn't easy to hear. That's influence. Let's peek in on a situation where a direct service professional had an opportunity to use the voice of influence and didn't take it.
And I remember you had such a good time last time, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Hi, Louis. How are you today?
Good. My mom is here.
Hello, Ellen. How are you?
Hi, Mrs. Washington. I'm fine today. It's nice to see you. Are you and Louis having a good visit?
Oh, we are. And I'm glad you're here. I need your help with an event coming up.
Mom, I want to talk to you more about the family reunion.
Oh, thank you, Louis. That's exactly what we need to talk with Ellen about. Our family has a reunion every year. It's coming up in just a couple of weeks. I always pick up Louis and take him to the reunion, but this year I can't get to the reunion until evening. Louis wants to be there during the day so he can go swimming and visit with his cousins. Right, Louis?
Right, I had a good time last year.
I remember. You did have a really good time last year. Louis's Uncle Martin will pick him up at 11 o'clock on the day of the event. It's important that Louis is ready when his uncle arrives because Martin is picking up other relatives on the way to the reunion. I'm a bit concerned because the last time I took Louis to a family party, he wasn't ready when I got here. He wasn't dressed properly for the event, so we were really late. That can't happen this time because I won't be picking him up. And remember, you need to look really nice, Louis, because the reunion's at Aunt Kathy's house. If Louis isn't in a nice outfit, Kathy will definitely notice, and I will hear about it.
Sure, no problem. If I'm not on the schedule that day, I'm sure whoever is can take care of it. Just put a note in the fridge with the details. That's probably the best way for whoever is on that day to see it.
Are you sure? I'm really concerned about this reunion. It'll be the first time that Louis is there without me. It's really important.
Mom, I'll be fine.
I know you will, dear. Ellen, can you make absolutely sure that Louis is ready when his uncle comes, that he has his swimsuit, and that he's dressed nicely for the reunion?
No problem, Mrs. Washington. Just put that note on the fridge. I've got to get downstairs to Anna's apartment right now, but it's nice to see you, Mrs. Washington. Louis, looks like things are going good today.
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow after work, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I sure hope that refrigerator note works.
Why do you think Mrs. Washington had that worried look on her face? What could Ellen have done to put her fears at ease? Let's give Ellen a do-over and see if it helps to inspire some trust.
Ellen, I need to talk with you about our family reunion. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. I always take Louis to the reunion, but this year I can't get there until evening. Louis wants to be there during the day so he can go swimming and visit with his cousins. Right, Louis?
Yeah. Right. I had a good time last year.
I remember. You had a really good time last year. Louis's Uncle Martin will pick him up at 11 o'clock on the day of the event. It's important that Louis is ready when his uncle comes because Martin is picking up other relatives on the way to the reunion.
Mrs. Washington, let me get some paper and a pen. I want to make some notes. I want to make sure I get the information right.
I'm a bit concerned because the last time I took Louis to a family party, he wasn't ready when I got here. He wasn't dressed properly for the event, so we were really late. That can't happen this time because I won't be picking him up. Oh, and remember, you need to look really nice, Louis, because the reunion's at Aunt Kathy's house. If Louis isn't in a nice outfit, Kathy will definitely notice and I will hear about it.
Okay, so let me make sure I've got this right. The reunion is on April 15th. Louis will be picked up by his uncle at 11. Time is important because Louis is just one of several relatives being picked up by Martin. What Louis needs to take: swimming suit, clothes and shoes for the evening, clean, ironed, and matching. Louis's mother will bring him home. Anything else you want me to know about the family reunion?
I don't think so. Ellen, I am so concerned about this reunion. It'll be the first time that Louis is there without me. It's really important.
Mom, I'll be fine.
I know you will, dear.
I completely understand, Mrs. Washington. Here's what I'm gonna do. Louis, I'm gonna put your family reunion on the calendar in the kitchen. Then I'll put a note on the day before the reunion to make sure you've got everything you want to wear cleaned, ironed, and ready. And to make sure your swimsuit is packed. I'll put the list I made on the calendar right next to the refrigerator so whoever's here Friday and Saturday can see it and know what to do.
Thank you, Ellen. I'll let you know if I think of anything else. Well, Louis, looks like you're all set for a great day.
I've got to get downstairs to Anna's apartment right now, but it's nice to see you, Mrs. Washington. I'll be back before dinner, and I'll get the notes on the calendar.
Okay, bye, Ellen.
This time, Ellen heard the plea in Mrs. Washington's voice that let her know that Mrs. Washington was talking about something that was of great importance to her. When you hear that, think, what is it that's needed here? In this case, the solution to the need was fairly simple. But Ellen did more than simply meet Mrs. Washington's need for a solid plan. She noticed Mrs. Washington's fear that something would go wrong, like it had at least once in the past. How did Ellen work with Mrs. Washington's emotions? Ellen gave all of her attention to Mrs. Washington so she could truly hear what she was saying, along with emotions behind what she said. She remained present for Mrs. Washington. That presence, doing nothing but attending to someone and what's important to them, will, by itself, relax your vocal cords, changing your voice tone to the deeper voice of compassion. Ellen let Mrs. Washington know that she heard her words by repeating them back to her and even writing them down. She asked questions to make sure that the information was complete. And, finally, Ellen let Mrs. Washington know through her words and her actions that Mrs. Washington could rely on the plan Ellen put in place. In the future, when Ellen has something important to tell Mrs. Washington or something to ask of her, do you think Mrs. Washington will listen? Inspiring trust leads to the voice of influence.